very curious. You mentioned that this committee is bipartisan, but when we look at the Republican majority as a whole, how has it been serving in Congress as a Democrat and, having the Republicans controlling the House? I guess you had a little bit more of a head, or, you were able to kind of take a look from the outside and coming in with a bit more understanding of everything that they're doing than your other lawmakers who started at the beginning of the term. But what did you expect has been different than what you expected coming in?
Well, look, I wish we were a more productive Congress. You have heard it out of Republicans themselves that they have not, when they have held the majority, done anything for the American people. Now, just a year ago, when I was working in the White House on the other side of Pennsylvania Avenue, I was experiencing the benefits of a productive Congress with a Democratic president and a Democratic majority in both the House and the Senate that did historic work to pass the rescue plan to dig us out of COVID and put our economy back on track, to pass the bipartisan infrastructure law, and to rebuild our country from broadband, sewer, roads, and bridges to technologies of the future, and of course the Inflation Reduction Act that is going to not only control the rising costs of healthcare, but also deal with the emerging and the ever-present threat, really, of climate change and so much more. The Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, the CHIPS and Science Act. So that was a really productive Congress. So I have hope that when we have a Speaker, Hakeem Jeffries, we will get back to solving some of our most intractable problems, finding real solutions on housing, making sure that we fortify a woman's right to choose, doing things to strengthen our democracy and protect the right to vote, and of course, lower costs for the American people in every way that's possible. So while I'm a bit disappointed at the context in which we live, that's temporary, because if we do the hard work, we will be able to return to the level of productivity that the American people deserve.
Well, I know that we're not speaking in a campaign context now, but I'm just curious, what do you think it's going to take for the Democrats to take back the House?
Yeah, that's such a great question. And I think it has to do with the work. It's about the articulation of our values and being very clear with the American people what we want to accomplish. We want to make sure that we have economic opportunity for people. We want to make sure that housing and home ownership is not out of reach. We certainly want to protect people from gun violence, right? It should be a bipartisan matter that the leading cause of death for children should not be a gunshot wound. There are so many real things that we have to do. So we have to make clear choices. We have to make clear that we can maintain the status quo of dysfunction, or we can get back to what we just had in the 117th Congress from 2021 to 2023, one that was strengthened by the will of the American people to make government work. And that's what we can do. And I hope to be a big part of that.
Well, thank you so much. My final question for you, I know you were just shy of your first 100 days, but I do want to ask, what is your end goal? Like I said at the beginning, very impressive resume. You're so young as well. What is your long-term plan? Do you plan on continuing a career in Congress indefinitely, or, can you speak to that a little bit, or we'll just have to wait and see?
Well, look, it's a little bit of wait and see, but I have one promise here, is that every single day I will work for Rhode Islanders really hard. And that for me has been without elected office when I worked for a governor, when I worked at the White House, and now they've given me the privilege of representing them in Congress. So every single day, if they keep sending me, I'll keep showing up. And I've only been here just shy of 100 days. So I hope I get a few hundred days more at minimum.